Hello everybody and welcome to another top 5 board gaming video. Today's topic is all about hidden roles, that is to say games that have a card or a tile, something that indicates you are on a specific team that only you can see. And the idea is that you approach the game differently based off of that. You are trying to help something, hurt something, help someone, hurt someone, whatever it happens to be. There's a lot of different implementations of it, but the fact is there's not really a whole lot of games that really utilize this in a fun way, at least in my opinion. So of course I'm really curious what you all have to say. You guys know the drill. Let me know anything and everything in the comments below because I love to hear everything you all have to say. But that said, we're just going to dive right into my number 5. At number 5, I've got One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and by extension the rest of the One Night series. The idea of this game is that at the beginning you're given a role, you take a look at it, and then a bunch of stuff happens where people utilize their abilities, and then you're trying to figure out who the werewolves are. Fundamentally, it's fun because it combines the idea of having a specific task that you're able to do, trying to hide if you're the werewolf, and just all sorts of other different stuff. The problem that I have with this game, and the reason it's so low on the list, is because you might not even know who you are. Of course, that's the big aspect of the sociability for it, and that's why I love it as a game, but as a hidden role game, it becomes really frustrating because you don't necessarily know who you are anymore, and it can be really difficult if everybody around the table is really honest, saying, you know, I was this person and so I switched these two. It's like, well, I was this person and I looked at that one. And, you know, saying exactly what everything is can get really annoying, but that said, it's still a lot of fun. One Night Ultimate Werewolf, my number 5. At number 4, I've got Coup. In several ways, this is somewhat similar to One Night in that you've got roles in front of you that give you abilities. But the difference in this particular game is that you can lie about what role you have and do a different action. So this creates a lot of intrigue at the table where you're trying to figure out who's bluffing, who's not, all of that kind of stuff. And that's really the crux of the entire game. The problem is, and the reason why it's lower on the list, is because with that fact, if you don't know the people, if you can't really figure out their bluff tells and all that kind of thing, the game can get kind of boring. And in my experience, it goes one of two ways. You either end up believing everybody or you believe nobody. And neither one of those scenarios is fun because you just constantly spout out accusations and you eliminate yourself, or everybody just goes until they make enough money to do what needs to happen and get rid of all the other players. It can be kind of frustrating, but at the same time, if you strike that balance, it's really, really good. It's a lot of fun, and unlike Werewolf, you don't have role swapping unless you decide to swap your roles. Coup, my number 4. At number 3, I've got Shadowhunters. I like this game because it combines several aspects of hidden roles that I really enjoy. First and foremost, you have an individual identity that gives you an ability, and then you're also part of a team, with the idea being that your team has an overarching goal that you're trying to achieve, while simultaneously trying to figure out who else is on your team and who is against you. There's a lot of different cards that enable you to do that throughout the game, and you essentially just go around and around until somebody ends up winning. The biggest issue that I have with this game is really how random it can be, because a lot of what you can and can't do is based off of die rolls, so it can get a little bit annoying and it can get kind of tedious if you keep ending up at the same place over and over type of thing, which is possible but not super common, thankfully. Regardless, it's a really fun team game. It's a fun activity to do, and the individual capabilities, the individual powers are really unique. The other major issue that this has though is the player elimination. Once you lose a particular amount of health, then you're out of the game and there's really nothing you can do. So with all that, the good and the bad, Shadowhunters is my number 3. At number 2, I've got Secret Hitler. Essentially, it was between this game and The Resistance, and frankly, Secret Hitler, in my opinion, is just a better version of what The Resistance was trying to do. So effectively, the idea is that you have fascists who are trying to pass fascist policies and end up putting Hitler in power, while the anti-fascists are trying to stop that from happening. I really like this because it creates a lot more intrigue compared to The Resistance. Now, with The Resistance, you can add in some of the expansion missions to get a few more roles that have actual capabilities and stuff like that. But just base game to base game, Secret Hitler is a lot more interesting. It has a lot more intrigue. You've got a lot more interesting developments because as you get more fascist policies, then you get more power for the government roles so that you can get more information and all sorts of other different stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's, again, in my opinion, a better version of what Resistance was trying to be. Secret Hitler, my number 2. At number 1, I've got Battlestar Galactica, the game with 2 options. You are either a good guy or a Cylon, and no matter what, you're always a Cylon. So effectively, this game is the biggest of all of the ones that I've talked about in terms of it has multiple different mechanics, it has a lot going on, it's a cooperative game, so the idea is that everybody is trying to build toward a common goal while the Cylons are actively trying to sabotage things. But the fact is, I love the way that the hidden roles are implemented. As a Cylon, you can do a lot of things that make it seem like you're helping, but you're basically not helping as much as you could be helping. You're doing a little bit, but it's not quite a lot. You know, things of that nature. So it can be really difficult to tell who's who. On top of that, during the gameplay, you end up getting another card that can indicate you were good, but now you're a Cylon. And so there's all sorts of cool little stuff that happens like that. And you've got a lot more intrigue when it comes to the players. And the other wonderful thing about this is after you are outed as being a Cylon, you're still able to do stuff. You're exposed, everybody knows that you're a Cylon, but the fact is that you can still do things. You can still affect the ship, you can still sabotage things, and that makes it a lot more fun, in my opinion, than some of the other ones where after you're outed, it's kind of like, meh, you know, this kind of sucks, like we knew what you were. Whereas in this one, it's like, yeah, I'm a Cylon, what are you going to do about it? You see similar things in Shadows over Camelot, which was the other game I was debating this, but in my mind, Battlestar sort of comes out a little bit on top because of the sort of doubling up on the loyalty cards alongside the sheer amount of stuff that you can do and still seem like at least you're helping the game. Battlestar Galactica, my number 1. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this video on my top 5 favorite hidden role games. Once again, this is kind of a unique mechanic that you don't see a whole lot, but it has a lot of potential. And of course, I'm really curious what your guys' opinions are on this. Do you like hidden role games? Do you not like them? Are there particular implementations that you enjoy? Let me know anything and everything in the comments below because you guys know I love to hear from you. That said, also, if you haven't done so already, please take a look at all my various social media pages, as well as my Patreon page, where you can interact with myself and my channel in a whole bunch of really cool ways. But with that, thank you very much again for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.